Hey everyone, welcome back. My name's Dustin Kreis, and today we're finally going to get to the Games of 2015 edition video. This has been I've really been putting this off. Actually, I've not been putting it off. I've been insanely busy. Unbeknownst to you, behind my phone right now is just a fucking huge stack of boxes from work. In order to start packing all of this stuff up because I bought a house. And we're still, like, the loan contract and everything's still going through, so it's still a process, but I need to get this video out. I need to get this video done because of time frame, because it's already February, and to talk about the games of 2015, and also because I need to start packing up this game room. And I need to get these games that I've already played in boxes to go to the new house. So, anyway, like I said in a previous video, I'm really hoping to do more with this channel soon. Not right now. In the foreseeable future, I'm going to be insanely busy moving things, setting up the new game room. So eventually there will be a new game room tour. So I need to get this done, get it out of the way. I played a lot of games in 2015. 2015 was an insanely good year for video games, especially towards the end. So much so that there was a lot of games that I either didn't get to or I didn't play enough or finish to really include in this video. There's some that I finished, or didn't finish, I should say, that I played enough of that I kind of have a feeling for how I'm going to feel about these games. But games like Xenoblade Chronicles X, not far enough into it to really, do in this video. Legends of the Heroes Trails in the Sky second chapter, nowhere near close to finishing that. Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel, it's still sealed. What else? There's another game that I didn't get to. Etrian Odyssey Untold 2. I started that game a long time ago, and then I stopped playing it to play something else, and kind of forgot to go back to it. Persona Q was also this year, wasn't it? Persona Q, I'm close to finishing, but I don't really like it. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll go back to that one or not. I'm glad I just bought the standard edition of that one. But this big stack of games here in front of me that you can't see, of course, are games that I did finish. And this is how it's going to break down. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 games that I finished in 2015. So this is going to be a pretty long video, so I'm going to try to move through these games really quick. I've already done game discussions on all of these where I talk in depth about them. I'm just going to give you kind of a little synopsis of why these games are here, and move on until I get into like the later games where I really talk about how great some of the later games really are. But starting off, probably one of the biggest disappointments of the year. It seemed like a huge victory for us gamers, and then I got the game and you sort of realize what it was and maybe the reason why it didn't come out, at least for me. And that game is Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. Now, this would have been so much better if it would have came out on the PSP or on the Vita like a year ago or something like that. Or, yeah. But as a PS4 game, I don't know, like I started off playing it and really liking it. And then as it wore on and wore on and wore on, I just found myself not caring anymore. And it's one of these games, I am going to give this one another shot. I'm going to give it another shot sometime. Try it again. But man, I really just did not enjoy my time with it. And honestly, I feel okay with buying this because I absolutely loved episode Duske, the Final Fantasy 15 demo. If I were to include demos in this list, it'd be ridiculous for one, because it actually placed pretty fucking high. I actually really dug the demo for Final Fantasy 15. But this one, I don't know. Yeah, it really is a PSP era, portable game, and just wasn't really feeling it. So unfortunately for it, it's kind of at the very end of the list. The second one, it's funny how, I don't know, like, what are we at now on this one? Like, 15 years now, I guess. Really, just when I popped this back in and started playing it, just really did not dig it. And it was always one of my other big disappointments with this series. And that's their HD remaster of Final Fantasy X. For me, in a lot of ways, the golden era of Final Fantasy ended with 9, and we've just been on like borrowed time since then. There's been some good games and there's been some bad games, but really, Final Fantasy for me, we'll see what 15 does when it comes out. Of course, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to play it. But that sheer love of Final Fantasy really died with Final Fantasy 9, and that's a great way for the series to go out. Final Fantasy X was always a disappointment for me. It just never lived up to the hype, and it never lived up to what Final Fantasy IX was, the successor of Final Fantasy IX, for me. This was kind of where it really felt like the Final Fantasy series was going for style over substance, and I don't know, putting this back in, it just did nothing for me, and it got really annoying, and I couldn't care less. It just drove me insane. And the thing of it is I really wanted to dig it and love it, especially because Devil May Pi got this game for me. And I don't know, maybe it was the set and setting, and I just wasn't, into Final Fantasy X at the moment. Maybe I should go back and give it another shot sometime, because these two game discussions were probably my most thumbed down game discussions in a long time, because I just did not dig either of them. And I didn't realize that there were so many Final Fantasy fans still out there, but it was a bit of a surprise. The next game is actually, these are all, I actually played, aside from those two that I really didn't enjoy, the rest of these games I all really, really liked. And it was kind of hard to organize this list, because I actually liked all the rest of these games. But the next game, while I really liked it, there is a game out there now that does everything this game does, but better, and that game is Infamous. Went back and played the original Infamous. Really had a good time with it. It's not as polished and beautiful looking as Second Son, but still had a really good time with it. Really good storyline. I really liked how it had kind of a 12 Monkeys aspect to it, or like a looper aspect to it. Spoiler alert, I guess. But the game's been out for, 7 years, so I guess that's your fault, I guess. But I really had a great time with it. I really love how these games just make you feel badass and powerful, and like you can handle anything. And I am going to play Infamous 2 sometime this year, and I still need to get the DLC for Infamous Second Son, but really did enjoy my time with that. So that's Infamous. The next one was getting ready for a big movie that came out this year, and decided I need some more Star Wars in my life, and realized that I never got around to playing The Force Unleashed 2. And kind of the same way with Infamous, this game just kind of makes you feel like a badass. But the only problem with this game is, like, I got to a point, and then it ended, and I was like, ooh, that's it? That's all this game is? It's like a 6-hour experience, and I beat it in 2 settings. And, but those 2 settings were really fun and a really good time. And, it's dirt cheap. You can get this game for next to nothing nowadays. And if you're just looking for some fun Star Wars action, this and the original game are both really really great games, just to play and sort of cleanse your palate a little bit. The next one, this is not the version I played, but since, I like to hold things up in these videos, I figured it'd be a good idea. This is actually from a defunct company that is no longer with us, and it's kind of sad because they did really excellent work. But this is Earthbound Zero, or Earthbound Beginnings, as it's called on the Wii U eShop. And there are so many great nuggets that begin with this game that eventually goes to Earthbound and Mother 3. But Earthbound Beginnings is a bit of a... it's not a bad game. There's a lot of great things in this game. And for an RPG of its era, it's still very competent. It's just not as refined as you would want like Earthbound and Mother 3 to be. So it is, in that regard, a bit of a disappointment. But when you go back and play this, and you just see how much of the series was there from the beginning, and how much, really, in terms of Earthbound, the Super Nintendo game we got, this has just, been polished into a diamond to become Earthbound. All the things are there. It's just not quite there yet. But I had a really great time seeing where the series started. And I guess at number 25, 24, 23, 22, 21 is Earthbound Beginnings. Next up, this year was a big year for me, like barreling through series. It's just something... I got hooked on one series, and then after that I decided to marathon another series, and then I marathoned another series. So there's going to be a lot of games in this list from the same series, because I just played a lot of series back to back to back this year. And starting off this series, my original... or the playthroughs of the games that I never finished, is Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops, which I really liked. It gets shit on, and rightfully so. It's no Peace Walker, it's no rest of the series, but it kind of began some of the ideas of like stealing enemy soldiers and things like that to put in the rest of the series. And when we get to Peace Walker, I will talk about how much I got addicted to the Mother Base aspects of that game. And it's the storyline is not as good as the rest of the Metal Gear games. Although I do think there's some really good things in this game that further expand who Big Boss was. I really think there's some real pivotal moments in this game. But the gameplay is good, not as good. The story is good, not as good. It's just kind of lesser Metal Gear Solid. But that being said, lesser Metal Gear Solid is better than most other series out there, if you know what I'm saying. So still had a great time with it. Really enjoyed the storyline. And I really liked the groundwork that it laid for the later games in the series. So Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. Now this one, this game, and a lot of you guys are going to be surprised that it is just this low on the list, because it is from my favorite series my favorite series ever. That being said, while this is a great game, this game, I have not really played through the upcoming 3DS version. But this version of the game, as it stands, is for diehards only. This is like, if you love sinking your teeth into Dragon Quest games, this is one of the, biggest and most grindy, and like everything that, if you love the series, you love about the series. It's the mostest of the series, and that's Dragon Warrior 7, Dragon Quest 7, however you want to call it. Hopefully when the 3DS version comes out, it streamlines it a little bit, because while this game is extremely long, there is no real good reason for it to be that long, other than the fact that you have to grind out a bunch of job levels and gold. It's just a grindy game. And hopefully that when the 3DS version comes out, and maybe some people out there who've actually played through the Japanese version, I put it in just to see what it looked like and everything. It looks amazing, looks gorgeous. But hopefully it's not as grindy as this game. The lengths you have to go to get some of the jobs and spells and things like that in this game is just, it's a bit on the outrageous side. But that is also PS1 era RPGs and the Dragon Quest series in general. But, you know, it took me the better part of a year to get completely through this. And I think my final playtime was like 91 hours. And it didn't need to be 91 hours at all. Maybe 50, 60 hours tops. But, you know, you want to grind out those more powerful jobs just so you can go into that final boss and just smack him around. And that's what I did. And I actually had a really good time with it. But at the same time, I realized that this game is not for everyone. However, that should not dissuade you from looking into the 3DS version, which hopefully fixes some of the PS1 version's problems. So, Dragon Quest VII. Alright, this is where people are going to start screaming at me. And by people, I mainly mean Alex Return to Mother Base. This game, every time I was thinking about playing a game, he's like, dude, just play this game. Just play this game. And finally I put it in. And it really was everything he ever said it was. It's just campy and stupid and fun. And that game is Binary Domain. And it's a third-person shooter, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to just flat out tell you it's a lot of fun. It's just I played a lot of other better games. But this is kind of one of those games, I don't want to say guilty pleasure. I don't want to say hidden gem. It's like it's almost like a B movie. Like those movies, I guess guilty pleasure. But it's a good game, so I can't really say it's a guilty pleasure. I don't know what the correct term is, because YouTube has just kind of ruined a bunch of terms out there for things. But it's just one of those games that you just put in and you just marvel at the wackiness, the silliness, but also it actually has a really good storyline to it. And it's also very competent in its gameplay. So it's a very fun, good game. And if you're looking for, like, I don't know, Blade Runner the game or something like that, it has very definite shades of that. And yeah, I can see why he really dug it. And by the end, I really thought it was a great game too. It's one of those weird, this era is really weird, where you can buy like a bunch of just dirt cheap, really good games that go under the radar. They're not AAA titles. Okay. Of course, you do these long videos and you use your phone to record it, and of course people call you. Anyway, I was talking about Binary Domain. I think I said all I need to say about Binary Domain. It's dirt cheap. If you're looking for some PS3 games to play, put this one on your list. It's a lot of fun. Up next is a game that I heard Chance and Steven just talk about. And a lot of other people talked about it too. Alex was really into it. Bruno, SNES Mapper, was really into it. And finally, when the big ultimate version for the PS4 came out, I picked it up, and I did have a blast with it. It reminded me a lot of playing like the PS2 Baldur's Gate games, and I really had a great time with that. And that is Diablo 3, the Reaper of Souls Ultimate Evil Edition. I understand now why people get addicted to these looting style of games. Getting that extra piece of armor, that extra weapon, you know, all that stuff. It really is kind of an addictive thing. And I had a really good time playing it. It didn't really, like, light my world on fire like it did a lot of people. It was good. I had a fun time. But at the same time, like, the storyline didn't really grab me. The environments got kind of boring because they were procedurally generated, and it just those types of things hold me back in these style of games. But in terms of the action and the looting and things like that, is really a top-notch experience. Had a great time with it. It's just one of those games that it doesn't do everything for me, and that's why it's so low on the list. But it's still a great game. I don't know what the price is for it right now, but really a good time. And if you're looking for something just I don't know, just a hack and slash just to have a fun time with, here you go, Diablo 3. Next up is not really a game, but more of well, it is a game, but it's also an expansion, and that is Wolfenstein The Old Blood. And I bought the digital version of it, and then of course, like most people, after I Bought the digital version. They announced the physical version, and I was like, well, fuck it. I'm not giving them more money. And I'm glad I didn't, because while I love the New Order, The Old Blood was kind of a disappointment. And the reason why is a spoiler reason. But the entire time you're playing, you're fighting the Nazis and you're having a good time. And then all of a sudden, it devolves into like this almost Diablo-esque style final boss battle. And it just really took me out of it. You know, the thing with the New Order is I really liked like the robot dogs and the robot soldiers and things like that, because I could actually see Nazi Germany doing something, you know, fucking crazy like that. But when you start getting into like resurrecting, you know, monsters and things like that, you're starting to get into like Indiana Jones territory, which I like. Indiana Jones, love Indiana Jones, but Wolfenstein, especially the tone that was set in the New Order, the Old Blood is just kind of like a, I don't know, like a almost a parody in a way, and it just felt a little off. So, but it's still fun. The gunplay is great. I really hope that they do another Wolfenstein. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I hope they do another Wolfenstein. And it's a really, really great first-person shooter, especially since it's all single player and no multiplayer. I think that's ballsy in this day and age. Moving on, this series. Okay, this series has caused me some grief in my YouTube career, because I actually bought this game a very long time ago and tried to play it, and I just couldn't get into it. And it was more of a problem with my mindset. I understand that now. And then I tried to get into a later game in the series and really didn't care for it either. And boy, there was some strife over that decision of not liking that game. Still dealing with it to this day, mind you. But the series has always kind of haunted me, and it's one of those things where it's like, I know I should like it. It's got everything in it that I should like. Why am I not liking this? And it's one of those, it's kind of like Final Fantasy Type 0, where it's a set and setting type of thing. Like, it's just, the game didn't grab me at that moment, but it doesn't mean it's not going to grab me later on. So I gave the series another shot after a game that is a couple spots above it really kind of made me think about it again. And with the help of some of my more open-minded friends on YouTube, I was actually able to not only get through it, but actually really enjoy my time with it. And the first game in that series is going to be Demon's Souls. Like I said, bought this a long time ago, started playing it, couldn't get into it. And now I'm sitting here like my local friend Ernie has been playing the series. Like, I got him back into it, and he's been playing through the series, and like he's talking to me about it, and I'm like, fuck, I want to go back and play these games, you know. And Dark Souls 3 is coming out here sometime this year, and I've already pre-ordered it on Amazon. So I mean, you know, sorry that, you know, I hated the series and now like it again. For those people that it bothers, but you know, I really want to go back, and because when I played this, I played it as a royalty, which is sort of the Demon's Souls easy mode. And when I first played it, I played as a knight, I want to say. And I want to go back and try to play as the knight again, and try to play this game melee, and you know, not rely on the magic like I did with the royalty character. So yeah, I want to go back, and I want to challenge myself with it. And I don't know what I'm going to do it, because I have so many fucking games to play. But at the same time, like I said, I'm buying a house. I'm going to be house poor. I'm not going to be buying a bunch of new games. It'd be the perfect time to go back and revisit, you know, these old series. And now that I know what I'm supposed to do in these games, like, I can go back and replay them, and it's not going to take me as long as it took the first playthrough. But anyway, you know, Demon's Souls started the series off, very difficult, challenging game. And you know, it can break you, and it broke me, but I went back to it and got through it, and had a really good time. So looking forward to the series continuing in whatever form it does. A big hole in my RPG playing that I finally filled and had a really good time with. Really enjoyed this game. I don't think I would put it above the game that comes after it in the series. I do like the storyline, but it didn't grab me and it didn't pull me in as much as the next game in the series. But I did really enjoy Persona 3 Portable, which I think this is the definitive version of the game because you can control all your allies. Fuck that not being able to control the rest of your team bullshit. I despise that in RPGs. And when someone told me about, that, it made the decision of buying... Actually, I had Persona 3 on the PS2, but I hadn't got around to it yet. It made a decision of buying this version so much easier because I was like, I'm not putting up with that nonsense. But, the Persona series, or the Shin Megami Tensei series, a lot like the Dark Souls series, is a bit more challenging of an RPG. And it put me off for a very long time, but eventually, through talking to like Aerodynamish and some other people, I did get into it. And I'm glad I did. I'm really looking forward to Persona 5 when it comes out. I really enjoyed Shin Megami Tensei 4, and I have a whole bunch of other games in the series that I need to go back and play. I have the first Shin Megami Tensei on my iPhone to play. I got a ton of them, so I need to go back and play them and get through them. But I really enjoyed this one, and it's not one, especially if you're an RPG lover, you should really not overlook this one. It's really great. Trying to keep this moving forward. Xseed, Xseed did it. One of my favorite companies who I now have a love-hate relationship with it because on the one hand, they keep bringing me things like Trails in the Sky, or, I should say Legend of Heroes, Ys, things like this next game I'm going to talk about, but they also bring a bunch of like Senran Kagura Burst, which I could just get, who the fuck cares about Senran Kagura Burst? Or all that stuff, but whatever. But the game that they brought out is an older game, and they brought it to PSP. I can't remember if you can get it on the Vita as well. Maybe you can get it on the Vita. I think I played it on the Vita, actually. But that is Brandish. And I had heard about this series from back in the Super Nintendo days, and I heard it was basically an unplayable game. There's so many people that say Brandish is an unplayable game. Download this game on the recommendation of Greg, who has had many different YouTube names now. I think he's still going under the moniker Wanderer from the Past. But he used to be RPG Swagman. And downloaded it, and there's just something about that challenging gameplay and the dungeon crawling and all that just made me addicted to it. I was so addicted to Brandish. So much so that I downloaded the Super Nintendo ROM, or I guess the Super Famicom ROM, of Brandish 2, and I do want to play it at some point in time. But this is the game that got me rethinking the Dark Souls series. So I have to give props to Brandish for, I guess, teaching me how to play Dark Souls and Demon Souls and, Bloodborne, eventually Bloodborne. Because it taught me to be a lot more careful of a gamer, because I was never really that much careful of a gamer before playing Brandish. In these types of games, some games I'd be very careful. Like if I'm playing Halo on Legendary, I'll be much more careful than I would be if I'm playing on a lower difficulty level. But for some reason, I could never really wrap my head around the Dark Souls gameplay mechanic of sort of slowly, methodically pulling enemies out and things like that. It wasn't until I played Brandish that it really started to click to me and make sense, and really kind of made me rethink my thoughts on the series. So I had to give a big shout out to Brandish, even though it's a completely different game than the Souls series. It made me want to go back and replay the Souls series. So it's a very good, very challenging dungeon crawler game that give it a shot. You might enjoy it. Next up is another game that I downloaded, and that is Mega Man Legends. This is a game that I've always wanted to play. I never had a PS1 when it came out. I went from N64 to PS2. And I never picked it up. Never picked it up. I don't know why. And the prices for these games are just outrageous. nowadays. Mega Man Legends not so much, but Legends 2 and Trombone is just ridiculous to pick up these games. So Trombone is on PSN, and I downloaded it after I played Mega Man Legends. But it's been forever for them to put, it on PSN because of some kind of licensing that was in the original game that, I don't know. Anyway, they finally put it on PSN, and I played it, and it is such a good, great game, and it was such a great game to play during the time that I was playing all of the Souls series, because you kind of get sick of the dark environments and things like that, and to have a colorful, funny, silly game like we always used to play back in the day. It was just so refreshing and so fun. And, Steven was playing at the same time as I was, and Alex was playing at the same time as I was. And it was just fun to talk to people about this game that we all kind of just missed and never experienced. And it made me really think about, like, games back in the day. Because we're so used to now everything being so hyper-realistic and in a lot of ways dark and gray and just, it's just refreshing to play a really nice, colorful, just silly game, It's like putting in Rayman, even though Rayman will drive you to be just a complete psychopath. It's fun to put back in these just colorful, silly games like Mario and things like that and just have a good time. And that's what Mega Man Legends... I mean, there are points in Mega Man Legends that are going to make you just throw a controller and cuss, but for the most part, I really just had an amazing time with Mega Man Legends, and really just... It brought back the kid in me, and I like that. I like to feel like a kid when I'm playing a video game sometimes. Now, a game that clearly did not, and we are going to be, like, in the dark zone here for a little while. A game that completely did not make me feel like a kid, made me feel like a just complete wreck of a person, is Bloodborne. It took me a long time to get used to the combat in Bloodborne because it's so similar to Dark Souls, but yet so completely different because it's more aggressive, more, preemptive than Dark Souls is. It took me a long time to wrap my head around that, but once I finally did, I had a really great time with this. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot shorter than the Souls series, which makes sense because it's their first game on a new console, and the first game on a new console is always a bit of a smaller affair because they haven't really tapped into the complete power of the system yet. But that being said, a really great time. If you're a fan of the Souls series and you haven't played it, I don't know why you haven't, because if you like that series, this is just a evolution of the series. But it didn't grab me as much as the other two games in the series. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe I just got kind of sick of the gothic, because the environments aren't very varied in this game. In Dark Souls and Demon Souls, there are a lot more varied environments. This is all set within a very gothic town, and eventually it just wears thin. I just get kind of sick of seeing the same environments over and over again, and that's where sort of Demon Souls and Dark Souls kind of, well, not Demon Souls because it's behind this, but Dark Souls kind of gets its edge because you travel to different places and different environments and get to see different things, whereas this is just kind of the same thing through and through. So if they do a Bloodborne 2, which I'm sure they will, I really kind of hope they vary things up a little bit more. But that being said, really enjoyed this one. Had a great time. I can't remember if I knew I pulled in other people, but I can't remember if I had, like, because like all the games kind of are running together in my brain. I know Joe hopped on and helped me out through a lot. Steven hopped on once or twice and helped me out. I can't remember if someone helped me out in Bloodborne or not. I want to say yes, but maybe not, because the summoning system in this is actually pretty shitty. But hopefully they fix that for the next one. But I really did enjoy Bloodborne. I need to download the DLC for that, because I really want to kind of get back into those style of games. Kind of as a little cut here, the next game is a game that I actually did play way back in the day, but I never finished it because I got to the second half of the game and then got distracted with something else. And it's always been like a big thorn in my side because I love the genre that this game represents, and it's this game and another game that really defines that genre, and that's Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Gorgeous, gorgeous game, graphically, sound-wise. Not so much in the voice acting, but this one is held as a classic for a reason, and is just a magical time. When you get to that second castle, it gets really challenging, and I'm glad I finally like put my time in, got it done, and yeah, I love Metroidvania games. They're one of my favorite genres. They might be my second favorite genre after RPGs, which is why I always felt like I should like the Souls series, because the Souls series is essentially a Metroidvania in 3D. And going back and playing this, I got so many other Castlevania games that I need to play, and it sitting here thinking like I was going to do a bunch of Castlevania games this year too, and I only did this one because I got so hooked up on other things. But this is on PSN. Okay, put it on your Vita. The only problem with it on the Vita is that R2 and L2 are on the touchpad, and you'll be transforming into your spirit forms like all the time. Just turn that off until you need them, and it's one of the best experiences you'll have on the Vita, because it's Castlevania Symphony of the Night portable. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Now, here's where things are going to get a little controversial. The next game on the list is Dark Souls. I say controversial because most people say Dark Souls 2 is worse than Dark Souls 1. I really had a great time with this. By the time I got done with Demon Souls, I was just like, I got halfway through Demon Souls and then picked this up. Because originally when I bought Dark Souls 2, I hated it so much that I returned it. I kept Demon Souls because I knew I wasn't going to get anything for Demon Souls. So I was like, I'll just keep it in my collection, and if I ever want to start the series again, I can just restart with this one. So then I got the Dark Souls, and I don't know, man, it just clicked. It just clicked with me. I had a great time. Joe came in and helped me a bunch of times. I think Steven helped me on this one too. Because I think I played Dark Souls 2 mostly by myself because of the version I had. Aside from pulling in like just random people and NPCs and things like that. But the sense of exploration and the challenge and the fighting for just that small little bit of ground, just push a little bit further. I get it. Okay? I get it now. I understand. I understand why you guys like it. And I like it too. So, yeah, it finally clicked. I finally got over that I don't like this, but I really should feeling, and had a really great time with it. And was it this one? Yeah. Because they're all running together now. Yeah, was it this one, or was it Demon Souls where you can completely like nerf the boss? I want to say it was Demon Souls where you completely nerf the boss. This one was a bit more challenging if I remember correctly. I don't know. They all run together because they're all so similar. Maybe not Bloodborne so much, but like Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Dark Souls 2 all kind of run together. Which is why I'm not talking about them very much, because I feel like I'm just saying the same things over and over again. But next on the list is Dark Souls 2, and I got the Scholar of the First Sin. Beat the game, loved this game, and I probably really like this for the reasons that most people hate it, and also for the ironic reason, if you watch my original Dark Souls 2 video. I hated this game when it first came out because I just couldn't wrap my head around the combat. I was doing it wrong, and I wanted to have an easier mode so I can see all the things that I liked about the game. It's funny now to me because this is actually the easiest game in the series, unbeknownst to me at the time. But there are so many bonfires in this. I mean, you're going to die a lot. You're going to die a lot. But dying in this game is not as detrimental as it is in Dark Souls, Bloodborne, or Demon Souls. So, yeah, that's kind of ironic of me to say that this is actually now the easiest game in the series, which is probably why I like it so much, because, you know, it keeps the challenge, but at the same time, I feel like it's more accessible, I guess. And maybe that's why people don't like it, because it's accessible. Only the hardcore should like this series, whatever that nonsense is. But I really do like it. The Scholar of the First Sin edition is harder because they place a lot more difficult enemies in your path along the way. But I got to a point where I didn't even recognize that they put harder enemies in. I just dealt with the situation and got through it and moved on to the DLC. Now, the DLC is pretty hard. I got through the first... Because there's three DLCs, and I got through the first one. And then I started the second one, and I was like, all right, I'm going to put this down for a little bit. But I do want to go back and finish it, and really great game. Looking forward to 3. So that's Dark Souls 2. Scholar of the First Sin. Now we're getting back into... we're getting back into one series kind of dominating everything. And if you haven't noticed, there's 2 series that I haven't really talked a lot about. But up next is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Now, a lot of people put this as their favorite, and I can totally see why. I can totally see why this is their favorite in the series. I think it has one of the more emotional gut punches of Metal Gear storylines. It's not so... The storyline is a lot more accessible in that it's not dealing with the Patriots and Lale Lule Lo and all this other bullshit that the series deals with. It's a much more digestible story because it's set in the 60s and things aren't as super crazy yet. And the camouflage system, and I mean, there's just a lot of great things about it. It takes it back to that more classic Metal Gear gameplay that takes some time getting used to. But by the end of the game, I really enjoyed it, and that final boss battle was pretty epic. That's the kind of thing about the Metal Gear series, is that you're always going to have epic boss battles. But I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the James Bond opening theme song. That was just brilliant. The whole thing is brilliant. Sometimes, though, because this is an older Metal Gear, the stealth is a bit unforgiving, and it's like if you make one mistake sneaking around, you're done, and you need to like reload your save. But that being said, put your time into it. It's a great game, and I really enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. I'm moving quickly because I'm sitting here cross-legged, and my legs are starting to just ache. Like, oh my god, it's so terrible. Next up is Mother 3. Now, a lot of people out there will tell you that Mother 3 is the best in the series, and I can understand that from the storyline perspective. I really think the storyline really, pushes the emotional strings in you, and I think the game itself is a further refinement of what was in Earthbound. The thing that I miss in Mother 3 is that it almost feels like a much straighter story. It's so focused on the emotion and the sadness and all that kind of stuff that the weirdness of Earthbound gets kind of pushed out. And whereas Earthbound was just bizarre and weird for weird's sake, Mother 3 tries to explain it a little bit more. And I don't know, for me, that just that wasn't as cool as Earthbound itself. So, but a really great story. It really is a sad thing that it never made it over here to the States not even until like I had to play a ROM hack. We're hoping that the success of Earthbound 0 makes a release over here, but and for right now, all you can do is pirate the game, and that's really Nintendo's mistake, because I think a lot of people would probably buy like an Earthbound collection on the 3DS or something. It's just Nintendo being short-sighted as usual. But Mother 3, really great game. Obviously, it's this high on the list. Really great game. Maybe slightly overhyped. maybe slightly overhyped. But then you get to the end of that storyline and you get to that gut punch of an ending, and you're like, oh God, you know, the feels. Oh. But anyway, moving on to the, if I can get it out of the Ziploc bag that I keep it in to keep it nice. The precursor in the series, which is Earthbound. And for me, this is the pinnacle of the Mother series, until we get another game in the series, which I don't think we ever will. There's a reason why this game commands the price it does. And it's not because it's rare, because you can find this game anywhere. I mean, people are selling this game non-stop. It's just the demand for the game. And I'm telling you, the best way to get this game, unless you're like a die-hard collector, because this is my original copy from when I was like, you know, back in the day. Unless you're a die-hard collector who has to have the SNES cart, just go buy a Wii U and download the game on the Wii U. It's cheaper in the long run to do that, because you can get other great Wii U games and things like that than just to go out and buy this cart for a ridiculous amount of money. It's a great game. Fantastic game. One of the best RPGs on the series. Like, I replayed it and I was just in awe. Just in awe of this game, because when people talk about RPGs of the SNES era, it's always Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI, and those are amazing games. Final Fantasy VI is my favorite game of all time. But there's just something perfect about Earthbound and its references and just the goofiness of it, and sometimes the pathos of it. And the one thing I did kind of notice this time as a playthrough is I always felt like Porky was a much more diabolical, integral part of the storyline than what he actually is. He only kind of shows up every now and then, and I always thought he was a much more present antagonist than what he was. But it also, you know, playing this game, you have to play this game in order to kind of get the full effect of Mother 3. So it's just a great series, but standing at the top, at the pinnacle, of course, is Earthbound and all of its goofiness and weirdness. And yes, it's been censored for us Puritan Americans, but at the same time, you know, do you really need to see Ness run around naked, or is pajamas okay? You know what I mean? But that being said, just a fantastic game, and there's a reason why it commands that price. And replaying it this year was probably one of the great experiences of my gaming year, because it was just reliving my childhood, but at the same time getting a new appreciation for that childhood. You know what I mean? So up next, we're going to go through 2 games in the same series and then some other things. Up next, now this is a collection version, but I actually downloaded the PSP version on my Vita, and that is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. What a game. What a game. I got so addicted to the Mother Base segments of this game. Like, there's nothing about this game that's bad. And it looks amazing on the PSP. Usually PSP games are starting to look like trash nowadays. Peace Walker still looks amazing. It plays amazing. Oh man, just a fantastic game. A really great, solid, Metal Gear storyline. You know, Kojima was kind of around for portable ops, but with Peace Walker, he took the director's job and really made not just a portable version of Metal Gear, but he made a console Metal Gear that just happens to be portable, if that makes sense. And I mean, I can't speak enough for Peace Walker and how great of a game it is. And I've never played this version of it on the PS3, but this is the version to get, because you can control the camera with the second stick. And man, like, I got through Peace Walker, the PSP version, but whew, it was rough. It was rough because of that camera sometimes, but you sort of learn how to get around it, and then do what you have to do. But man, I really would like to play the game again, and this is going to be the version that I play. But Yeah, Peace Walker is just that good. It really is. It should be like, honestly, it should be like Metal Gear Solid. I can't. Does it come out? Did it come out before 4, or did it not? I can't remember if it came out before 4 or not. But really, it should be one of the numbered entries in the series. It's that friggin' good. The storyline, just a great continuation of Metal Gear Solid 3, and a great continuation of this guy named Naked Snake, who happens just to eventually become the big boss. And I haven't played 5 yet. That's another game that I missed out this year, is on the Phantom Pain. So I don't know everything that happens in Metal Gear 5. But yeah, great game. Great game. But unfortunately for me, it could not, as great as the gameplay is in Peace Walker, it could not outdo the overall experience that was Metal Gear Solid 4. Yes, you will sit and watch cutscene after cutscene after cutscene, but the gameplay that's actually in this game is astounding. I had so much fun moving through these environments, using my tranquilizer gun, just everything about it. This is really a great experience that it's hard to take everything in, because it takes everything from the series, because it's moving towards the end point, which this is the end point of the Metal Gear series, except for Revengeance, which that's another one I didn't get to. It takes everything from the series that we've seen so far and kind of just throws it at the wall and ties up all the loose ends. And if you know anything about Metal Gear, there's a ton of loose ends. And for the most part, I think this one did a fantastic job of tying everything up. The only complaint I had was the bosses. While the boss battles were fun, the bosses themselves, which I can't remember what they called the group of females that had those exosuits and everything. I can't remember what their names were now. But they were a bit disappointing, just because they didn't tie really into the series, aside from aping enemies of the past, and they just didn't really add any heft to the storyline, I guess. Like, if you were, fighting reincarnated versions of, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but adding in these new characters that really didn't have much personality to them, and didn't really have any connection to the series other than aping old bosses. It just didn't do anything for me. It didn't really have any weight. More the final, battle with Ocelot and things like that. That really had a lot of weight. And then, of course, the ending scene itself. One of the most cinematic experiences you will ever have playing any video game. Like, it's just a fantastic game. Really just fantastic game. More so than just a fantastic game, it's just a fantastic experience. So definitely check it out. Now, this one actually became somewhat of a surprise to me, because I've played games in this series before and I really enjoy them, but I didn't really think I'd enjoy them as much as I enjoyed this. And the combination of these two series really made a perfect game, and that is Dragon Quest Heroes. These two series, the Dynasty Warrior series and the Dragon Quest series, were just made for each other. And there is no better proof than this game right here. I sunk so many hours into this. I still want to sink a bunch of hours into it because I want to platinum this game. I really do. I really should put it back in and start playing it again. But man, just so much fun running around with these characters that you know and love from previous games. And of course, there's a lot of nostalgia in this decision. But you know what? This is my list. I don't care. This is how I'm doing it. If you guys have a problem with it, get a camera and make your own list. There you go. But I could not put this game down. And when I wasn't playing this game, I was thinking about playing this game. And the storyline is actually pretty damn good for a Dynasty Warriors game. and pretty good for a Dragon Quest game. I was actually really surprised at how good the storyline actually was and how invested I did get into the characters and everything. And yeah, I know a lot of people don't like the Dynasty Warriors or the Musu, however you say it, series, but you know, they're talking a lot about Dragon Quest Heroes too, and I think this was actually a pretty good hit for Square Enix. So really looking forward to seeing what Dragon Quest Heroes 2 brings us. But this is a great game, and just because it's a Dynasty Warriors mashup, don't think it's not a great game, because it actually plays more like an action Dragon Quest game than it does a Dynasty Warriors game. I mean, you still have a ton of enemies on the screen, but it never really feels like you're playing a Dynasty Warriors game. It feels more like you're playing a Dragon Quest game, and that's what drew me in. And fantastic, just absolutely fantastic game. And here we are, finally, at the last game. No surprise, absolutely no surprise here. You've probably seen, you probably noticed by now what game I have not talked about that came out this year. A lot of people gave this game crap, but for me and my taste, this was absolute perfection. Fallout 4. Fallout 4. A lot of people say this is Fallout 3.5 because it just takes everything that was great about Fallout 3 and makes it better. And at the end of the day, what else do you want from a sequel? Just take everything that was great about the game you love, which was Fallout 3, make it a little bit better, sell it. Fine. Perfect. Wonderful. I got so addicted to this game. I got so addicted to the exploration. I wanted to explore everything. Did I get to explore everything? Hell no. This is a huge game. I got addicted to building the settlements, which I think is a fantastic addition to this game. The settlement building. I hope it's in every Fallout from here on out. I got addicted to the storylines. The storylines. Not only the main storyline, which I think was a great storyline, just really interesting and really well told, but all the little storylines with the different characters that you can recruit to be your partners and things like that. The storylines of the individual towns. It's so hard to describe, because I can sit and play the Elder Scrolls and really enjoy the Elder Scrolls, but I don't get as invested in them as I do the Fallout series. And I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is. I still haven't finished Skyrim. Fallout comes out, aside from New Vegas, which I didn't really care for New Vegas at the time. I'm going to give it another shot eventually. But Fallout comes out, and I can't put the thing down. I have to see everything. I have to see all the ruined buildings. I have to explore the subways. I mean, it's just... I can't get enough of Fallout. And hopefully they do some really nice DLCs for it. They got a whole bunch of stuff outside the map, a whole lot of space outside the map to do stuff, and even space inside the map to do stuff. But yeah, I don't know. For my money and for what I played this year, there's only one game that would even come close to beating it, and I didn't get it in time. I got it in 2016 and played it in 2016, and it's going to go on the list for next year. But this game, really fucking good. And it's so funny because we always talk about how Western RPGs sometimes don't have great storylines because everything's so sandboxy. How could it have a great storyline? I've never faced such difficult decisions in this game, and such decisions that I had trouble over since, like, KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic. And it's weird how sometimes these Western RPGs that let you choose your own path and all that kind of stuff, how it really makes that experience, because my experience in the game is vastly different than your experience in the game. And how personal your attachment to that game comes. So anyway, before my voice gives out and before my legs fall off from lack of blood flow from sitting like this for so long, those are the games of 2015. Like I said a little bit earlier, this is my list. And a lot of you out there will disagree with my list, and that's totally fine. Make your own list. get on YouTube, make your own list, and then let people slag you off for your list, and then maybe you won't slag other people off. But, you know, friendly discussion is always welcome. But, God, it's getting rough out there. Jesus Christ. These kids these days, they don't have anything better to do than slag people off on the internet. But, yeah, a lot of great games. And, a lot of older games, because I didn't buy a lot of new releases. And when I did buy new releases, I didn't quite get to them because I was playing older games. So there's a lesson, which is what I do usually. I usually support the games I really want right at the top, and then the games I can wait on, like Metal Gear Solid 5. Sorry, Konami, I'm not giving you full price for that game after the bullshit you pulled. I'm going to buy that game for next to nothing, and I'm going to enjoy the hell of it. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to what 2016 brings. I need to get back in the Xenoblade and put more time into it. There's a lot of games I need to put a time into. I need to get back to the second chapter. I need to get back to Etrian Odyssey Untold 2. And then there's new stuff coming out. And it's just, you start to feel a little buried. And I'm looking around the game room, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to get to half these games before I die. Probably not. Because eventually I'm going to get too old with arthritis to play them, so. Oh well. Oh well, right? That's what we do here. Anyway, guys, that is it for this video. We're trying so hard to get the podcast back on. It just seems like every time we try to do an episode, somebody's got something going on. We're just very busy people right now. We're gonna do our damnedest, though. I'm gonna do my damnedest once all of this nonsense with the house and everything slows down to make more videos. Get back into the swing of it. But yeah, I guess we'll see what 2016 brings us. Really looking forward to all the games that are coming out, and looking at some of these games and thinking I really want to replay them. And what a terrible idea that is, because I have all these other games to play. But that's the way she goes. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for supporting this channel, even though I've been a bit lax in posting videos. Thank you so much for all your kind words, and all the support you give me over the years. And let's go into 2016 and have a great time, alright? So, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time.